Dragonian Tyrannus, the Winged Tyrants, the Apex Predators. Hi, I'm your host Heatwave, and today we'll be delving into the biological makeup of the Pareena dragons. They are my perfect creation, made of flesh and bone, wrapped in glittering scales and gifted to fly above the bonds of this earth. They are my tyrants, my children, and now I give them to you. Welcome back to the Wings of Fire spin-off series, Empire of Pareena. In today's episode, we're going to dive deep into the biology of dragons. This topic will be broken down into two segments. This segment will focus on the basics, what all dragons have in common biologically. The second segment will focus on the different dragon tribes of Pareena and their specific biological differences, history, and culture. Now, first, what is a dragon? Well, they're quadrupedal, wrapped in scales, and can fly, among other things. But there is a vast difference between pariah dragons and those of Pareena. Due to their, let's say, unique environment, pariah dragons evolved into pure reptiles, while Pareena dragons are actually monotrematas. What is that exactly? Well, a monotremata is an animal that lays eggs, like a reptile, but also feeds its live young milk. In fact, the closest terran example of a monotremata is the Australian platypus. This marsupial is amphibious, covered in fur, lays eggs, and feeds milk. It also has poisonous barbs in its heels. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. Let's break down the actual anatomy of the dragon. We shall start at the skeleton. The skeleton of a Pareena dragon is the same across all winglets. Of course, there are a few differences, mostly in the skull, spine, and tail. Of course, the bigger winglets, like mud wings, have far bigger bones. The skull obviously holds all the important thinking bits. A large horn protrudes from the nose to aid in protecting the face from a downward thrust. A cutout can be found for the nose, eyes, and ears. Two horns protrude from the skull. The length and shape of each horn can differ from winglet to winglet, but they all do the same thing, protecting the valuable top vertebrae from a downward thrust. The jaw locks under the cheekbones and features two rows of teeth capable of tearing flesh and meat or cracking the thick hide of fruit. The spine runs the length of the dragon's body. Each individual vertebrae can move individually, offering a wide range of movement. Some winglets have large bony horns interlocking above the spine. Like the other horns on a dragon, these help protect the valuable bones. Running down the spine is the ribs, starting at the lower neck and ending in the middle of the abdomen. A dragon has about 16 individual ribs. The ribs in the abdomen are fused at the center by a strip of bone, holding the primary organs in a protective-like cage. Mounted to the front of the chest is a thick slab of bone, called the butterfly bone, due to its distinctive shape. This breastbone can withstand a significant blow and is the strongest part of the dragon. Attached to the spine are the shoulder plates, which lead to the foreleg bones. The pelvis bone is quite large, larger in females. It's wide at the top but narrows underneath. Attached to the pelvis is, of course, the digigrade hind legs. Next, let's talk about the internal organs. The brain is the center of control, quite straightforward. It controls all the nerve endings throughout the bodies, and the ears, eyes, and nose organs are directly attached to it. The esophagus leads down the throat to the massive lungs, and later the digestive tract. The heart, which pumps blood, is nestled in between the lungs. Dragon blood is warm and red in color, for all but ice wings who have blue blood. Sandwings do also run a much cooler blood temperature due to them being in the sun all day. The sac located under the heart is attached to the esophagus as well. This is the phosphorus sac. This is where a dragon's flame breath is produced. This sac is filled with phosphorus gas from a small fleshy vent that, when full, a dragon will belch out and ignites upon meeting oxygen. While the ability to produce flame is useful, it does burn the throat and leave a foul taste on the tongue. And if misused, a dragon can inhale the very flame down their esophagus, causing severe burns. Behind the lung sits the stomach. Above the stomach is the multi-filter. This organ combines the liver and pancreas into a single organ to filter blood, aid in breaking down food, and also stores the white blood cells to fight off infections. Connected to that is the intestinal tract, and sits besides that is the kidney to flush water and waste products from the body. Underneath is the intestinal tract. Mounted internally are the male and female reproductive organs. I'll let you figure out what those could be. Laying on top of all this is muscle, fat, and then scales. Briefly, muscles stretch over the entire body. Some winglets, like mudwings, have far larger muscles compared to other dragons, while sandwing muscle is known for storing lots of water. Fat is thinly layered over the body, but it can concentrate around the intestinal tract or the thigh muscles. The scales of a dragon can differ on color, but they're all relatively the same. The underbelly scales are soft and flexible, and are, of course, always a different color to the main scales. The primary scales of a dragon is made of thousands of tiny plates meshed together. It's smooth yet leather-like to touch. Pareena dragons don't shed scales, but rather the pores between the scales secrete a moisturizing sap that hydrates the scales and gives them that oily finish. It also protects their scales from harmful UV radiation. Let's talk about talons. A dragon's talons go by many names: paws, claws, fist. We'll start with the hind talons. All dragons have at least 3 digits with a sharp claw at the end of it. Each individual digit can be spread out or closed in, but other than that, not a whole lot of movement there. The foretalons, on the other hand, have more dexterity. The foretalons consist of 4 digits, with a innermost digit acting like a thumb. This allows the dragon to grip and hold a wide range of objects and perform complex, fine motor tasks. Wings. So all dragon wings are attached to the shoulders by long boon arms that bend at an elbow. The top of the wings are essentially large, long talon bones with a thumb-like appendage. In between each wing bone is a soft, thin stretch of skin. These sheets of skin provide lift to a dragon during flight. Their curved shape also aids in maneuvering during flight. Overall, a dragon is physically strong and resilient, being able to suffer broken bones and deep lacerations and still survive. It would take no less than the pure deforming of the chest cavity to kill a dragon outright. Now, using this handy diagram, let's take a look at the average life cycle of a Pareena dragon. First off, a dragon can live for almost 120 to 150 cycles, but at this age their bodies begin to show signs of severe aging, such as brittle bones, loss of muscle mass, and even the degradation of mental cognition. The loss of muscle mass and even the degradation of mental cognition. The first step in the cycle of a dragon is the reproductive step. A male and female will, I think you can figure out the rest. Next is the incubation step. The pregnant female will begin to gain body fat around the abdomen and hips. Her mammary glands, located externally and below the pelvic bone, will become engorged. A female throughout her lifetime may mother up to 8 dragonets, but only one at a time. A female will form and carry an egg for 90 rotations. She will then lay the egg and wait for it to hatch between 30 and 50 rotations. Next stage is the hatchling. A hatchling is the term for a dragon who's not a single cycle old. Upon hatching, they will break their way through the shell and the shell sac. The average size of a hatchling can be between 50 to 70 centimeters in height. During their first cycle of life, a dragonet will learn how to walk, run, speak, fly, and other biological features it may have a part of its winglet. So, for example, the tail barb on sandwings. During this time, a female will nurse its dragonet. This can continue to occur even up to the dragonet being 4 cycles old. The next is a dragonet. A dragonet is between 1 to 9 cycles old. Here they will spend their time socializing and being provided an education. It's here a dragon begins to develop their identities, feelings, and goals. A dragon aged 9 cycles and above is classed as an adult. Adults are gifted by the Empire the right to vote, to have their own dragonets, and to apply for jobs and employment. Like in this example, this adult mudwing / seawing hybrid has enlisted into the Imperial Army. A quick note on hybrids: they exist, and in a large number too. Many see great wonder in them, but they're all treated the same. In the next segment, we will cover winglets and their stories. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, why don't you consider leaving a like and a comment and staying tuned for more, or checking out the channel for some of our other episodes. This is Heatwave, signing off.